So just stay on there. Just come back.
Good morning. My name is Nathaniel Reveal. I'll be your service coordinator for this, our third online Sunday service. Now that the first two went perfectly, we fully expect technology to be fussy today, and if it is, well, that's okay. If we need to, we'll work with Reverend Cynthia to make a recording that will be posted to GNUUC.org later. If the Zoom software is personally giving you trouble this morning, please try and log back in. If that doesn't work, then there's the YouTube live stream at nashvilleuu.org right now. And then a recording of the service will be available later in the week. Okay, a few announcements before we get started being reverent together again. Our website, Nashville UU, is even more important than ever now. That's where you can go for updated information, to watch the service after it's been recorded, to find a link to Breeze for directory information. It's also where you can sign up to help church members or to get help if you need it. More importantly, remember that although we are practicing physical distancing, we are even more connected than ever now, and none of us are alone. Our amazing pastoral care team and our fantastic minister have a list of volunteers ready to help as needed. If you have any need whatsoever, start by contacting Reverend Cynthia at CYN, Cain, CAIN, at GNUUC.org, or by calling 859-221-3034. I'd like to welcome any visitors that are with us this morning. I'm not sure if it's braver to walk into a new building for the first time or to join a Zoom call with video and close-ups with a bunch of strangers. Regardless, we're glad you're here. At the end of the service, after our final music, the call will remain open. Feel free to stay and chat. It's our virtual coffee hour. But during the service, this is a beautiful work of art in progress. The congregation will remain muted to allow for the comfort of all as we focus on the person speaking. We aren't able to hear each other sing because that's just cacophonous, but we'll still be able to sing together alone. Finally, I have to tell you how much of a joy it is to see all of your wonderful faces this morning. Thank you for making the effort to join us together in one beloved body. Today is our April family service, and our teenagers will be participating in different parts of the service. Kids, feel free to come closer to the camera so we can see you.
No.
You ready, Miles?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, but we cannot be free. Thich Nhat Hanh.
The free church tradition, of which we are a part, does not offer up a creed, a certain set of beliefs that everyone must accept in order to belong to the community. Instead, the boundaries of our community are determined by commitment and by participation. Our central question is not what do we believe, but rather what values do we uphold, and how will we do this together? Our covenant, the promises we make to each other, is the heart of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. If these words have meaning to you, you're welcome to read along with me. We covenant together to make a welcoming community, to walk together in the way of truth and love, to seek the life of the Spirit as it is known by each person, to support each other in thought, word, and deed as we work to build a better world. And now, both together and separately, we'll be singing I Know This Rose Will Open. The next slide will have the lyrics and the music for you to follow along.
Beautifully done. Thank you.
Let's try that again. It's time for All Sages, folks. Kids, if you can, come a little bit closer to the camera. From the time she was a little girl, Michelle Poehler was afraid of the world. She avoided dogs, small dogs, big dogs, playful dogs. She avoided dogs. She avoided pain, so she never went to the doctor. And she didn't go to dinner parties with her friends because that involved driving at night. And these were all the things that she was afraid of before she moved to New York City. She became aware at the moment of moving to New York City that you really want to live life to the fullest, you have to start being less afraid of things. And that was the instant she decided to break free from her limited lifestyle of being afraid of things and start trying new experiences. And in this moment, she decided to face one fear a day for 100 days. And then she created this video. Kristen? Today, we're exploring the Soul Matters theme of liberation. On the path of liberation, one challenge we have to face is our fears. And so that raises the question, what would you put in a liberation from fear list? And why? I put this question to Xander, and this is what he shared that he would put on his liberation from fear list. Let's take a look at the video.
Hi, I'm Xander, and the things that I'd put on my liberation from fear list are my fear of wasps that just show up at our house, inside and out, and also talking to people that I don't know on the phone.
Okay. Kids, you first. Is there anything that you're afraid of that you'd like to be less afraid of? Raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and then I'll call on you. Hi, I've got a kid over at Tina's house. What would you like to be less afraid of?
The dark.
The dark. I would like to be less afraid of the dark too. Other things that people are nervous about that they like to be less nervous about? Let's maybe give the grown-ups a chance. Hi, grown-ups. I've got one hand over there with Chris and Jenny, and I got another hand over with Larry. Chris and Jenny, why don't we start with you?
Cool, think fast.
Bad things happening to our family.
Bad things happening to our family. I would like to be less afraid of that too. Larry, what would you like to be less afraid of?
Less afraid of being fat.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Like that.
Other things people would like to be less afraid of. It's a tough one, isn't it? I got Nancy. Hi, Nancy. I got Doug. Sure, let's start with Nancy.
Talking to people in positions of power.
Well said. Yeah. Doug.
This public speaking.
Indeed. Public speaking. Yes. Oh. Or the new public-private speaking. Alice, I think I've got you somewhere. Where are we? Oh, there are so many humans. All right. Do we see Alice? They're still muted. Ah, got it. Okay, hang on. Let me unmute Alice. There we go. Jennifer, Alice, can you hear us? Can we hear you? Hi, Alice.
I would like to be less afraid of dead bugs because they can't hurt you.
Being less afraid of bed bugs. That seems
Dead
like a good one.
bugs. Dead
Yeah.
bugs.
Bed
Dead-
bugs.
No,
I'm with you. Oh,
dead
dead bugs. I understand. Bugs
They
that are no
can't-
longer alive. Yes, I got you. All right, folks, I have to confess, I'm also in the afraid of dogs category, and I have been since very young. All right. All right, folks, thank you so much for sharing. We're going to move on now. Kristen, let's bring the next slide. Excellent. Thank you. So although we may not look like the congregation we're used to at the moment, the work that we do to support the organizations in our community that continue to make a difference continues. So April's Share the Plate partner is Gideon's Army. It's a local Nashville organization that provides food, supplies, emergency financial support, and case management for North Nashville residents impacted by the March 3rd tornadoes. Oh, yeah. And by COVID-19. So those communities are sheltering in place without a place to shelter, many of them. So Gideon's work is particularly important these days. How does Share the Plate work? Well, the basic rules haven't changed. If you make a checkout to GNUUC, put Share the Plate in the memo. And if there's an online donation that's tagged Share the Plate, then that will make sure it gets distributed accordingly. For those of you that are continuing to support the congregation with a recurring pledge set up through Breeze, thank you. It matters. If you'd like to make an additional contribution today, you've got 3 ways that you could do it. Mail a paper check to GNUUC at our address of 374 Hicks Road, Nashville, Tennessee, 37221. If you'd like, put pledge or Share the Plate in the memo line so we know how to process the check. Online donations are set up at nashvilleuu.org/donate. And finally, we've enabled text donations. More details about how that works will be in the weekly email, so look for that. All right. So let's take a deep breath, change gears a little, and I'll share this reading from Adrienne Marie Brown, an Afrofuturist fiction author and civil rights activist. My papa used to say this all the time when someone was complaining, building a case for their misery or building a case against a loved one. He'd say, "Let it go." He gave it to God. I didn't understand it then as the profound key to happiness that I now find it to be. The ability to let go of things. When I can't change something, when it isn't working, when I don't know how to apologize, and when they didn't mean to hurt me, I let it go. I give it to the earth, that which is larger than myself. Everyone at home, let's join Amelie in "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
"'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we are to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained. To bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Our homily today comes from the dear Dr. Maya Angelou, who speaks of the liberating power of love.
Oh, I am grateful to have been loved and to be loved now and to be able to love, because that liberates. Love liberates. It doesn't just hold, That's ego. Love liberates. When my son was born, I was 17. My mother had a huge house, 14-room house. At 17, I went to her and said, I'm leaving. She asked me, you're leaving my house? And she had live-in help. I said, yes, I've found a job and I've got a room with cooking privileges down the hall, and the landlady will be the babysitter. She asked me, you're leaving my house? I said, yes, ma'am. And you're taking the baby? I said, yes. She said, all right, remember this. When you step over my door sill, you've been raised. You know the difference between right and wrong. Do right. Don't let anybody raise you and make you change. And remember this, you can always come home. I went home every time life slammed me down and made me call it uncle. I went home with my baby. My mother never once acted as I told you so. She said, oh, baby's home. Oh, my darling, Mama's gonna cook you something. Mother's gonna make this for you. Love. She liberated me to life. She continued to do that. When my son may have been 5 years old, my mother would pick him up all the time and feed him. And I went to her once a month, and she would cook for me. So one day I went to her house, and she'd cooked red rice, which I loved. After we finished eating, we walked down the hill, and she started across the street. She said, wait a minute, baby. I was 22 years old. She said, wait a minute, baby. You know, I think you're the greatest woman I've ever met. She said, Mary McLeod Bethune, Eleanor Roosevelt, and my mother, you're in that category. Then she said, give me a kiss. I gave her a kiss, and I got onto the streetcar. I can remember the way the sun fell on the slats of the wooden seats. I sat there and I thought about her. I thought, suppose she's right. She's intelligent. And she says she's too mean to lie. So suppose I am going to be somebody. She released me. She freed me to say I may have something in me that would be of value. Maybe not just to me. You see? That's love. And when she was in her final sickness, I went out to San Francisco. And the doctor said she had three weeks to live. I asked her, would you come to North Carolina? She said yes. She had emphysema and lung cancer. I brought her to my home. She lived for 1.5 years. And when she was finally, in extremis, she was on oxygen and fighting cancer for her life. And I remembered her liberating me. And I said, I hope I'll be able to liberate her. She deserved that from me. She deserved a great daughter, and she got one. So in her last days, I said, now, I understand that some people need permission to go. As I understand it, you may have done what God put you here to do. You were a great worker. You must have been a great lover, because a lot of men, and if I'm not wrong, maybe a couple of women, risk their lives to love you. You were a piss-poor mother of small children, but you were a great, great mother of young adults. And if you need permission to go, I liberate you. I went back to my house, and something said, go back. I was in my pajamas. I jumped in my car and ran, and the nurse said, she's just gone. You see, love liberates. It doesn't bind. Love says, I love you. I love you if you're in China. I love you if you're across town. I love you if you're in Harlem. I love you. I would like to be near you. I'd like to have your arms around me. I'd like to hear your voice in my ear. But that's not possible now, so I love you. Go.
I love you. I'd like to be near you. But that's not possible now. We're going to take a moment and open the floor and allow folks that have a joy or concern that they need to share that now. We'll use the same basic pattern. If you need to say something, raise your hand, and we'll call on you and give you some space to share. We'll start with folks that have video first, so I can see them, and then we'll try and check there. All right, I've got 1.5 million hands up. I'm going to go by the order that they appear in the grid so that I can keep track of folks. Tom and David, can we start with you, please?
Yes, you're doing a great job. I'm real proud of you. And I'm sorry I'm not there. I miss seeing everyone in person, and I love you all. And I wish I could put my arms around you and tell you that. And I want to give thanks to the people like Denise Graves, who's working right now to feed the children, all the rest of the people that are working, and all the people that are staying home and doing their 6 degrees of separation. I also want to extend happy birthday to a friend of 30 years and a founding member of our church, and her birthday is today, Palm Sunday, and that's Barbara Belfilio. I'm not going to say which one it is, but she's up there with me. That's it. Thank you.
Mary, I think I saw your hand up.
David, I light this candle for your joy, and I light this candle for Barbara Belfiglio's birthday.
Thanks, Karen. Mary?
I'd like to light a virtual candle of sadness. The cousin of my son's partner died in a tragic accident that never should have happened. It was not coronavirus. He was an 18-year-old youth in Baltimore and died in a shooting episode. He was an innocent bystander of a domestic violence assault next door to him. So if you will just keep this family that you don't know in your hearts. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Mary, I light this candle for your sadness.
Susan, I see a hand up.
Am I on?
You are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was very touching from Maya Angelou. And yesterday was 4 years since I lost Manfred.
Susan, I light this candle for you and for our sorrow at losing Manfred.
All right. I see Thina and Imani. Okay, you've got the floor, folks.
All right, can you hear us?
Mm-hmm. We can hear you.
Two things, well, three things. First of all, my heart is with you, Susan. We love Manfred. Secondly, Mom sends her apologies. I just couldn't get her technology working today. Hopefully she will be with us next time. And third, I am very, very saddened by the number of different musicians we've lost in this past week, including Bill Withers. And so I'd love to light a candle for him and others.
Nina, I light this candle to express these sorrows.
Help me, folks, and see if we can see any more hands that we need. Is that Larry's? Larry, is that your hand up? Okay, hang on. All right, Larry, you're good to go.
I have a appreciation and a concern. One is for all the people who are struggling, all the nurses and doctors and medical people putting their lives on the line to save the rest of us. I have a lot of anger at the governor of this state and the so-called leader of this country are allowing us to have more deaths than any other country in the world, just about. But the other hand, I hope out of all this mayhem, I know for me, I start realizing respect for the interdependent web of all existence. You know, if you're rich and some poor guy, you try to keep him out of the picture. Well, if he has it, you're going to get it. And man, you are all connected. This coronavirus says, no, it doesn't matter what you look like, how old you are, rich, poor, sickly, whatever. You can carry it, you can get it. You're all bozos on the bus.
Thanks, Larry.
Larry, I light this candle for shared concerns for leadership, and that they may be guided in what they need to do.
I see a hand in Marge Sumner.
Okay. I just like to, I have a joy. We had a family video conference from Hawaii, California, Massachusetts, and Nashville yesterday. My granddaughter was in Hawaii, and my grandson was in California. My son was in Massachusetts, and Wendy was on the line, and we were all able to communicate, and it was really a joy in this time of coronavirus isolation to communicate like that.
Marge, I light a candle for your joy. And while I have the candles, I'll also state that I share the joy of seeing all of you every Sunday. It makes me so very happy, and it gets me through the week.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take a quick detour from the script, and this is going to throw my teammates in a bit of a tizzy, but I think we'll be all right. If I gave Thina the floor for a few minutes, would you mind a little bit of Lean on Me in recognition of Mr. Bill Withers? All right, Thina.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Thank you.
Moments of magic like that. Moments of magic. All right, folks, let's get back on script here. If y'all would join us, we're going to start Spirit of Life. We'll get a slide back up that'll have lyrics and music.
May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in and among us now and always.
Thank you, Imani. To close out today's service, I want to bring up a recording by Fran Gabor. Our world is one world.
such is one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate, we make a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, who stand or fall. Our world is one world, just like a ship that bears us all, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our hearts can hear a different call.
Thanks, Fran. Thanks for joining us today, friends. While this marks the end of our formal service, the call will remain open, people will be unmuted, and you're welcome to stay and chat. In a moment, the YouTube live stream will stop, and the recording will stop, so be free to speak freely.
The end of the service. The end of the service.